Okay, well, good morning. We'll go ahead and get started. I've got a couple announcements that I'm going to make here, and then I will turn it over to Kylie, who will announce our guest speaker for the day. Okay, first things for juniors and your fundraiser, make sure I get this right, your candles and your cookie dough, correct? Candles and cookie dough are available for pickup tomorrow. Where are my juniors at? Right here. At the end of 7th hour, okay? The end of 7th hour tomorrow from Mrs. Parsons' room, your candles and cookie dough are available for pickup, so make sure you stop by and get that. Let's take just a moment here, and I just want to recognize our football team, our high school football team, for the progress that they had this year. Best season ever in Inman High School history. Let's give them a hand, very good. So, what a phenomenal season to watch those guys, so great job. Many of you have started your Zello assignment. You know what I'm talking about in Zello, so you work in your homeroom. If you haven't done that yet, you need to get that done. There's a couple little, I don't know what you call them, little tests that you need to take in there on your profile. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you need to talk to your homeroom teacher as soon as possible so you get on that. And then lastly here, I want to let you know, many of you have probably heard, again, from your homeroom teachers about the Student of Character nomination that we're going to start here in the second quarter. If you haven't heard about that, so basically what we're doing is we're wanting to recognize students who are exemplifying certain character traits in different ways. And so teachers can nominate a student at any time. And so basically those character traits, we've kind of framed them around 4 things. The ability to communicate, and communicating with teachers, communicating in class, things like that. The ability to be self-motivated. So our students taking our students self-motivated to touch base with teachers and make sure, for instance, if you miss school, are you getting your work caught up and those kind of things. Responsibility, and then integrity is another one, doing your own work and those kind of things. So that's kind of the foundation of it, but we want to recognize and reinforce those things because many of you are doing those things. I've read some of the nominations already, and there's some phenomenal things there that I've read, things that I wouldn't have known about, and probably some of you wouldn't have either. The teachers have nominated some students for already. So basically what we'll do at the end of second quarter is we will recognize a student from each grade level that's going to be the student of character for that grade level for that quarter, okay? And then you'll get, obviously recognize them, we'll throw in some gift cards and stuff like that as a reward for that as well. So again, that's the student of character nomination. I think that's all I've got.
All right. Terrell Roehl graduated from Inman High School in 2016. At Inman High School, Terrell was involved in football, basketball, and baseball. He was also a member of FFA and FCA. After graduating high school, he attended Hutchinson Community College to pursue a degree for automotive technology. He graduated in 2018 with an associate degree in applied science. During college, Terrell started working at Midwest Superstore in Hutchinson. After graduating from Hutchinson Community College, After graduating from Hutchinson Community College, Terrell is now a floor technician with Midwest where he is full-time employed. Terrell continues to be involved with his love of sports and plays competitive softball.
Alright, so that's pretty much it, but I'm going to go into detail about it, and it'll be kind of fun. So basically, I'm here to talk about my experience of being an automotive technician. And for those of you who don't know what that is or what a technician is, I basically fix cars between diagnosing them, figuring out what's wrong with them, or just putting on a part. So, my story, just a little bit about me. Like you said, I was a high school sport athlete here in Inman High School. I attended HSC classes while I was a senior, and I highly recommend everyone do that. There's something about when you go to college and you already have credits. You just become a little bit more motivated, you're a little bit more involved, and you just, like, for me in my class, there was a lot of kids that went in that were senior or sophomores in college as freshmen their first year. Then, like I said, I did technical classes. There's a huge need for technical jobs, whether it's just something that's fixing cars or if it's welding. And again, Mr. Fonsil knows all about that, so get with him and he can introduce you into a whole different side of the college aspect. I graduated in 16, so I've been out of school for 5, almost 6 years, and I've been at the same job for 5 of those years. So in a couple months, I get my tenure, which doesn't mean a lot to you guys, but it basically just means I know more about my job than what I should. And then, like I say, I play competitive softball. It's slow pitch softball. No one really gets hurt, so it's fun. You do tend to get hurt. I pulled my hammy a couple months ago, but like I said, we play competitively. We won a couple tournaments here this year, and I'm playing with the same team again this year, so it should be fun. We got a tournament coming up this weekend. So for college, why I chose automotive technology, I took Mr. Parsons' calculus class my senior year, and I was like, man, this is pretty fun. Went to my college and was like, I want to be an engineer. And then I was like, you mean I have to take 4 more years of calculus? I'm okay without doing that. So then I was like, well, now I need to find a new college career. And I started looking around, trying to figure out what I enjoyed doing. And I enjoy working with my hands, with just Mr. Knapp at the ag shop, and then Sprunger in the wood shop. So I started looking at just stuff I could do day to day with my hands, and I settled on working on cars because I enjoy it, it's fun, and it pays. So then I became a full-time student, which the classes for automotive technology are fairly long. They eat up a lot of your day. I think my class was 8 to 11, Monday through Friday, which is pretty rare for a college class because most of the time they are an hour to 3 times a day, or 3 times a week. Between working, like going to school, and then I had a couple part-time jobs, and then I found the job that I'm at now by just kind of walking in there saying, hey, I want an internship. This is what I want to do. I want an internship. So I kind of waited for that call, got another application for another dealer, and about the same time I got the application, I got the call, and it was kind of cool. He was like, hey, we can make this work. Just need you to come down and fill out some paperwork. So I filled out some paperwork, and then while I was in college, I mean, you do have responsibilities, but money-wise, with having some jobs, I seem to have more money than I can spend. So I decided I was gonna invest in myself. And for that, I'm pretty much saying, I bought a lot of really expensive tools. And then, now I use all those tools, and I think back and I'm like, man, that was a smart decision because other than saving my money, which is really important, I invested in myself, and now I get to make more money with those tools. So training-wise, they pretty much put you out with somebody, and they're like, hey, tell this guy how we do oil changes here. And so you watch someone, they walk you through how they want you to do an oil change, how they want you to go about doing the business, and then you just kind of slowly start being on your own. And then I spent about a year and a half doing oil changes on my own, just kind of being my own boss, just doing what was there, to helping out other Ford technicians with their jobs, whether they needed someone to drive a car on a lift or hold a pry bar while they put their hands in some pretty bad spots, to just kind of being there for what they needed, whether it was cleaning or helping them out. I got to see some really cool things, I got to see some really dumb things, but we got the job done, and that's what we need done. And then after about 6 months of being right next to a Ford tech for just everything he did, whether it was get a ticket to diagnosing a car to fixing it, spent about 6 months doing that, and then they were like, hey, you're pretty good at this, you're going to be on your own. So since then I've been on my own with pretty much help to just ask questions, but not really get any answers that are useful. So I spent since then, I've been on my own. I do recalls and just warranty work. It's good. You got to manage your time. You got to be fast. So as a Ford technician, there's a couple things that you have to do. There's recalls, which are safety recalls to just stuff that Ford has made a car and they know there's a problem, so they're recalling the part and they put out a better part. So as a Ford technician, they have a certain way they want you to go about it, certain way that it pays. So you just get to do it, and some of them are really good, some of them aren't very good. Warranty work, every time you buy a new vehicle, a brand new vehicle, they have what they call factory warranty. And that factory warranty basically is Ford's way of saying, hey, thank you for buying the car, but we're gonna cover this amount of parts or all this stuff for so many years or so on. And it's free to a customer, but they have to get it done at a Ford dealer. Specialty tools, we got a room of which we call tool room that has specialty tools that we paid for as a dealership, but we didn't actually want to pay for. Ford sends them to us as a, hey, if you're going to work on our cars and be a Ford dealer, you have to have these tools. So we are the only one in Hutch that has these tools, and it makes doing some of the jobs a lot easier. And then just taking your Ford car or Lincoln car to a Ford dealer, you get a factory trained from Ford technician who knows how that car's supposed to run, how it's supposed to go. There are shops that do everything, like Diesel Specialty. They work on every truck. And I'm not saying they're not professionally trained, they're just not trained from the factory. They're not specific to a car manufacturer. They pretty much do everything. So now we get to my fun, really, why I work as hard as I do. But I play slow pitch. Why do I play? I play because I miss baseball. As for playing sports in high school and not getting to play in college, you really do miss playing, whether it's any sport or whether it's just the activity of being with the team. So I started playing shortly after high school, played with my dad, got to have a lot of cool experience playing with family. So it's pretty much how I got started, just playing with my dad here and there. And then once you get there, it's pretty much like networking. People need players, you get asked. I always say yes. I hardly ever say no. So I play anywhere from 2 to 4 nights a week. We'll play tournaments on the weekend. That'll be 3 days. Some will be 1 day. So, and then you're wondering, like, it's slow pitch. This guy has a real job. He's not getting paid to do it. So, how competitive can it be? And there's different levels, whether you're just beginning at E all the way up to competitive or conference players who get paid. They're big guys. They hit the ball really far, so they get pretty well to do what they do. But it definitely is a experience, and for all of the athletes in here, especially once you graduate college, you'll find that you miss the games. So I recommend finding something. I found a group of guys in some slow pitch softball that we get to travel. We travel anywhere from Kansas City to Texas, and we just try and compete. So it definitely brings back the love for baseball and even just sports in general, because you sit there and you get to play and fight with the team, and at the end of the day, they're still your friends, so you get to hang out with them outside, and you still just get to enjoy it. Yeah, that's it. Are there any questions?
I've got a microphone here, so we can make sure we get it on the stream. So just shoot your hand up if you got questions.
All right, so I took a personal day today so I can come here and talk, but as for the rest of the week, I'm going to be up in Kansas City. I get to sit in a classroom for 8 hours a day, which is not at all what I signed up for. But we get to sit there and I get trained on steering and suspension. Then Friday evening or Friday afternoon, we get a question with a hands-on test on a vehicle. So we'll take 30-question test, have to get a 80% on it, and then have to pass the hands-on part of diagnosing a car. And after that, you get a certificate that says that you passed. Take it back home, and they give you a raise.
What does a typical day look like for you in the shop?
Typical day, I'll walk in, and there's probably anywhere from 2 to 5, 2 to 6 cars waiting for me to look at within the next 2 hours. Anything from, hey, my car won't start, to, hey, I have a check engine light on, or for the most part, safety recalls. Ford did a really big recall on airbags. So over the last 2 years, I've messed with more airbags as I would ever think to do. So then I will kind of look at each ticket and plan out my day. Like, hey, this ticket's only going to take me 10 minutes. This one's going to take me 2 hours. I'll try and knock out as many 10-minute short jobs as I can, and then focus on the longer, bigger jobs throughout the middle part or the end of my day. Yeah, so the pay, I kind of brought it up and I skipped over it, but we get paid by the job, which is called a flat rate. We do have hourlies that kind of help us out, but so a normal job will pay anywhere from a couple tenths of an hour to 20 hours. And let's say you're doing a brake job, you know, something easy that just pays 2 hours. You can get a brake job done in an hour, and you made yourself 2 hours for the day. Now, I'm not saying you always make money. If there's been days I've got home and I've worked the whole 8-10 hour day and I've made myself 3/10 for the day. So you do lose some days, but there are days where you make pretty good money on the day.
So the jobs that you do, are they assigned to you based on your certification, or do you get to choose them?
So we have what we call service writers, and then even some shops have a dispatcher, and they assign the job. Like if I looked at something in the past, they'll try and get it back to me just because I already have time invested in it. If it's just a job coming in that's simple, normal, they pretty much try and space it out between the guys in the shop, try and make it even, and then try not to give you anything too far over your head. One time I just got back from training for gas engines, and they were like, hey, we know you just got back from this. Here's this job that, this gas engine that we don't really know what's wrong with it, but we're gonna need to tear into it. So you get a lot of hands-on experience, which helps by them pushing you, but they also like you to make money because we're all happy when we're making money. So they'll give you some jobs that they know you can do, but they also like to push it just so you become better at what you can do.
Do you ever interact directly with the customers?
I try and stay away from them just because they tend to ask questions like how much is it going to cost and all that. And we do ride-alongs for cars that they've brought in for a certain noise or a certain concern, and then we drive it and we hear 2 or 3 noises, or we don't duplicate it. So we do interact with customers, but we don't. It's not an everyday thing. And like I said, I tried not to, just because customers can see. They can see like the service writers. They're dressed in like a nice pants, button-down shirt, They look very professional. We look like, I don't know if it's there. I look like that. And that's our work uniform, where it has our name, logo, and all that. But you don't always look the best. You can definitely be pretty dirty in the shop. So customers, they look at you and they see you and they understand. And then sometimes I just talk about stuff that they don't understand what I'm saying. So service writers are pretty much there to kind of be that buffer, to take the knowledge that I know, give it to the customer in a way that the customer's going to understand it, and give them a price. Because if I walk up to you and I'm like, well, it's going to be an hour, I really don't know what our hourly rate is. But the service writer will be able to be like, hey, it'll be this amount of money, and their job is to basically explain to the customer in a way that the customer's not going to get upset, and still like the customer feels like they're in control. Where if I'm talking to somebody, I'm just talking to them, and I don't really know how to control the conversation. It's something someone could do, but as for just the guys I work with, and there's a lot of times you need a hand or something. If you open a shop and you're paying somebody, and you start looking at the cost of building a building, building some lifts, and all that, and there's some of the specialty tools like a tire machine, something just to do some simple jobs, and the cost is up there. I haven't ever put a dollar figure to it, just because as much as I did enjoy, being my own boss and all that, you deal with your problem customers, and then they want to speak to your boss, and then that's you, so you're eating up your day. Then you got the big overhang. I'm not saying owning your own shop's not something I want to do. I definitely would enjoy having a spot where I had a lift or something I could work on some projects on the side. But as for owning it as a business, I think it would be harder than what you could do in a dealership or another shop, just because there's guys where I work that are making six figures and they have no overhang. All the money they make, they get to take home. They don't have to pay for a building, they don't have to pay for lights. So it's hard to step away from six figures to run your own business, unless, you're just dead set on it.
All right, let's give Terrell a hand